Common Tribe, it's been a minute. Welcome back to The Thing.
Welcome back.
This is the Common Tribe channel, but we're hoping to be able to post some exclusive content for you guys right here.
Yep.
Today we're going to be talking about our love story, how we met, and how we ended up here 10 years later.
Crazy ride.
It's been crazy.
Yeah.
My goodness. So I guess we'll just jump right into it.
Okay, let's do it.
All right. So how did we meet?
Man, that's such a complicated question. It has so many facets. Let's see. When did we meet? Would be a good time.
That's
a good place to start.
Yeah. So we met at the end of 2012, and we met on Plenty of Fish, which is a dating website.
POF?
Yes, I know. I don't think we were looking for like long-term love, but we were definitely open to it.
No, I don't think either of us was really open to it. I think that we both came into it with the understanding that we were going to link up and share some time together and smush some squishy parts.
Not me.
Mm-hmm.
Mom, I didn't have no intentions like that. We met on Plenty of Fish. We just started talking, and I was actually going through a lot of like rough moments at that time, and I think you were just in like a period of like transition.
I was coming out of music for the first time in several years and was needing a break. So I was just definitely in a place of like looking for something new.
Mm-hmm. Okay, that's interesting. I don't know if I was looking for something new. I was just looking for something to cling on to. So we ended up meeting in person within a few short hours of talking to each other. And I think we pretty much hit it off like right then.
Yeah, I think that we maybe talked in the car until like 3 a.m. Out in the parking lot outside of a dorm. And it was great. It was really good. I felt connected.
I'm like looking at myself in the camera, and I still get all mushy gushy when we talk about this. So, we ended up meeting, and within like 2 weeks, Amill ditched me. He blocked me on all social media platforms. And mind you guys, we had been spending like day and night together, talking, texting all the time. And I woke up one morning and he ghosted me. He blocked me on all social media and blocked my number. Why did you do that?
So
Tell the people.
We're diving right
We're
in.
right into it. You're right.
Okay.
I'm putting you on the table.
So what happened is I reached this point in our like situationship where I was just like, okay, I am either going to fall madly in love with this woman and run off and start a new life, or I'm going to try to reclaim whatever life I was living before. And so I had to like go into hiding and really figure out what I needed and what I wanted. Mm-hmm. And I spent a lot of time alone, thinking about it.
So you wanted to be alone more?
I mean, I spent a lot of time alone during that process, like figuring out where I wanted to be.
Not to discredit your answer, but I think you needed to like some time to disconnect with those other folks out there that you had.
There might have been some other folks. There might have been a couple other folks.
Back and tie up
there may have been a few other folks in the mix, but it needed to be, cut off the line. There was some fish out there.
Well, at least you went and did your business and let them know I was number one.
I came back.
Kind of. Let's talk about that too. No, you want to skip that part? Anyway, he ended up coming back. Somehow, in the universe, he ended up coming back.
Like a thief in the night, I swept her off her feet.
He promised me a vacation.
I took her on vacation.
Yeah. And so we planned it for like a month or so afterwards. And at that point, we had known each other for like 3 months. He took me to the beach, rented a beach house. And the first thing we did was
smash mushy parts.
And he told me around that time that he was going to get me pregnant.
And I did. That very time.
We had known each other for just a few short weeks.
Yeah.
But it's okay, though. Like, it turned out 10 years later, we made it.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, like, I have already traversed all of these, like, crazy things in my life. And what's, like, going to outdo those? Like, having a kid with somebody that I just met is not going to, like...
That's serious.
No. I feel like that's it's a significant thing to do, but it's not a significant decision for me at the time. Like at the time, I was like, "This is happening
because of the feelings that you had."
Giving my all to this relationship.
Okay, I appreciate that.
So shortly thereafter, we came back to the college campus.
Oh yeah, because that's where we met. I was in college. He was in college as well, and we met. Well, I was staying on campus at the time, and then you pretty much moved in
I did.
to the dorm with
Well,
me.
you know, as a specimen such as I recognized that the fertility process had been successful, you know, and
Is
so
that because of the pregnancy
I wanted to
test?
stake claim over what I considered to be mine. But truly, it was just me wanting to be close to you.
Oh, I appreciate that. I wanted to be close to you too. And I, for the first time in a while, like it was my time where it was my first time in a while where I experienced wanting to spend this much time with a person and being tolerable of that. I felt like, past partners really just got on my nerves kind of before that. It is really hard to live with someone, but we coexisted
Not to
well.
say that you didn't get on my nerves or that I didn't get on,
Yeah, for sure,
because
for sure.
to be very
To
clear,
this day.
like, you know, 3 nights in, Brittany like looks at me and she says, "Do you love me?" And I said, "Yeah."
Why
Yeah.
did this get on your nerves? This was cute.
I don't know. You know, it didn't get on my nerves, but you know, let's be honest. Like, it was really new,
What did I
and
do? We didn't tell the people.
because you cut me off, you didn't want me to tell you.
I did. All right, say it.
3 days in, right? We're hanging out in her dorm room. It's a little tiny room. It's like an 8x5 room. You know, like literally. I don't think I could even lay on the floor long ways without hitting my head on the walls and my feet on the
It
walls.
was college dorm.
So, anyways, we're sleeping on this very tiny little twin mattress underneath her SpongeBob blankets, and
And curtains.
and curtains and pillows. And she says to me, "Do you love me?" And I was like, "Yeah, of course I do." And she says, "Okay, good." And then she like lifts the cover and rips the longest fart ever.
It wasn't that long.
Ever.
You're so dramatic. It was like a.
No, it wasn't. That wasn't. She had been holding that thing in to
So,
SpongeBob.
At that moment, you were stuck with me.
I was stuck because I'd smelled the fart. That was it.
You're done. You were suckered into staying. That's what made you stay. So I'd say that the first year of our relationship was a bit tumultuous,
But
just a little bit.
yeah, we were both bringing a lot of our toxic traits and like individual like beliefs about our own selves and who we were at the time into a relationship that really required for us to give some of that up and like kind of
Yeah.
allow ourselves to mold to whoever we were going to be. And we did not do that in confidence in the first year for sure. We fought a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But one thing is good to know that not all relationships probably start on like the strongest foot, you know what I mean? And that I think is good to know that, you guys are working to grow together and to learn about one another. And that is going to take some compromising, it's going to take some disagreements. And we had plenty of that. Remember that time that I tried to jump out the car?
Yeah, I do.
I was pregnant.
I was driving our car, and I drove everywhere back then. She never drove.
No.
She's repaying that favor now. Yeah, I drove everywhere back then. Anyway, so I was driving the car on the way home from the lake, and you know we had already had like a few words on the way home, and things were tense. And the windows were down, and it was really loud, and our dog was like head out the window. So I like bumped the window, and like she pulled her head in, and so as I went to pull it up, like to lift the window all the way, she stuck her head back out, and she got caught just a little bit, and I stopped it and I let it down. And Brittany lost her mind. She just flew off the handle. She was like, "I can't believe you would do this to our dog." And like, "You did it on purpose." Like, whatever. I love that dog.
You did love that dog, but
And she was
I was
just so emotional. And she
Yeah.
was like, "I'm getting out of the car. Stop it right now." I was like, "No, I'm not going to do that." She was like, "I'm getting out." She unbuckles and she opens the door. Now we're moving like 20 miles an hour. And so at that point, I was just like, "Oh, hell no." I slammed on the brakes
In my
and
head.
smushed up against the windshield
hard.
flat. I mean, like,
That added the most insult to injury. I was
She was
livid.
pissed.
I was livid. Like,
But I mean, you're not going to jump out of the car pregnant while I'm moving. I had to slam on the brakes.
We're both Pisces, and I'm very emotional anyway. But when I am pregnant, the hormones, the emotions, they just run really high all the time. I cried about a taco. I cried from commercials. Usually
A
9 times out
taco.
of
She
10.
cried about every taco. She cried about everything we ever bought from every restaurant the entire time she was pregnant.
But we made it.
We made
Okay,
it.
we made it. I'm so thankful.
We made it.
So we went on to start a multitude of businesses. We had like a vapor store, we had a cleaning company, we had a photography studio. We also lived in Atlanta for a little bit. We've been all over, the highs and the lows together, and I think that you know realizing that you have a person in your corner to go through these things with is really what helps to solidify a relationship like
Well, I
this.
think it's what gives you like the desire to do so. You know, you're like, this is the goal that you have and you want to achieve that goal. But the way to do it is to find something that's important to you enough to make you commit to it.
Yeah, yeah.
And I think that like you were important enough
Oh, thank
to me.
you. Thank you, babe. So I really wanted to ask you what has made you stick around all these years because you've always been favorable amongst the ladies out there. So what is it? What is it about me that because I give you a run for your money. I know
It's
that.
that wow. It's
Okay.
that wow.
Okay, 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 okay. I'll take that.
That ain't
Okay.
wow. It's good. Don't get me wrong. It's that wow for sure. But no, that isn't one. Ultimately, I've never found somebody that I was able to connect with like so fully. Like I've been able to completely divulge my deepest, darkest like thoughts and secrets, and you're just like, okay, here's mine.
Well, because I never really felt like your secrets were deep and dark or worth turning back from.
And the same for you, but like in your own perception, they aren't what you have like concocted them to
Mhm.
be.
I think that's true of everyone, though. The skeletons that you think you have in your closet are probably not as bad as other skeletons that
Sure.
people may have in their closet. So, for me, it's really been about you providing a safe space for me and a safe space where I feel like we can raise children together in a space that I feel like I'll always be accepted for who I am, no matter how I grow or be may shrink into myself, whether I'm really open or closed. You're still so there. What do you think has been like one of the hardest things that we've gone through together as a couple?
Man, that first pregnancy, that first pregnancy was really, really tough. Um, but that was just because we were both new into the relationship and new into like the commitment level. It was really high at a very early point.
Yeah.
But I would say that was the most difficult thing to get through. We went through some other stuff, but those things like they kind of pale in comparison to like that whole year long battle.
Yeah. In that year-long battle, we went through, quite a bit, a little bit of infidelity, a little bit of like, job searching, a lot of
Did
go.
we? What infidelity did we get?
On my bad.
Oh.
You forgot about that? Hmm.
Hmm.
Okay, well, I didn't mean to bring it up just now, but I was just saying that we went through a lot of
Well, yeah,
things,
you had that boy in my house.
and we
Uh-huh.
went through a lot. And I think that realizing a couple of years later when we were really going through a lot, it was like in the beginning, it seemed like it was kind of like you versus me almost. And we were kind of like battling each other, trying to figure out what it looked like to compromise and exist together. But after we kind of went through that rough period in those first few years, it definitely seemed like us against the world. And it seemed like that ever since then. We definitely got a better sense of how to come together and coexist as, kind of one.
I don't know. There were really a number of years, like following, maybe 2 years following that first year, where we were just learning to coexist. And like we were busying ourselves with other things. Like we had businesses, and I was
Yeah.
working a lot. You were taking care of kids, and like
Mhm.
we found each other like palatable while together by busying ourselves.
Yeah.
But I think that like it took for one specific situation to arise for us to like truly dig into like our full relationship.
Mm-hmm.
And that didn't happen maybe until like almost 2 years in.
Yeah,
Like 2 years in, I would
I
say two
agree with
years in.
that. Mm-hmm.
And then once that happened, our relationship was different. Like suddenly, that first week of our relationship where we were just like best friends and talking until the sun
Mm-hmm.
came up,
Yeah.
suddenly that came back. But
Mm-hmm.
it came back with more meaning, and it came back,
Mm-hmm.
as a more solid foundation.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know. I think that since then it's only gotten stronger. I would say that it hasn't like gotten worse
I
or
agree with
weaker.
that. Mm-hmm. I agree.
At what point did you feel like, okay, this is the man I'm going to spend my life
Oh my gosh, that's such an interesting question. I gotta tell you that I definitely spent a good amount of time being unsure.
with? Hmm.
Unsure of a lot of things because we are raised to think that there's always some better person, that the ideal perfect situation appears a certain way, and I was so busy trying to make our relationship fit into those standards that I wasn't sure. And I think it wasn't until we moved to Atlanta that I started to feel like, okay, this is the person that I'm gonna be with. That was maybe like 3 or 4 years into our relationship.
It's like 3 years.
Uh-huh. And so at that point, that's when I really start to relinquish a lot of the tough woman persona that I put on, and really allowing him to, be a part of the decision making in our family, and being trusting in the decisions that he was making, and allowing him to be my safe space. And at that point, I settled with the idea that you were going to be the person that I was going to spend my life with. And that's really interesting because, we have been together for years. We had two children at that point.
Hmm.
And it's interesting because I still felt like there was a possibility that it could not be forever. I really don't want to let myself down when it comes to expectations. And so I didn't want to expect you to be around and then you end up not being. But now,
Hmm.
I definitely don't see us going anywhere.
Yeah, at some point, I just kind of like realized that whatever expectation of like the best was just completely
Yeah,
wrong.
yeah, yeah,
And like I realized that like I had the best relationship that I'd ever had with anybody else with you.
yeah. Yes, I agree with that. Mm-hmm. I
Yeah.
like that.
Do you
Okay.
like that? I like that.
So let's switch gears really quick. Let's talk about polyamory. For those that don't know, Amill and I are polyamorous, and that just means, we don't mind sharing our love with more than one person. There are many different levels and types of relationships that fit into polyamory. Our dynamic is a little bit different. We prefer to date together. You guys heard us talk about how we very much view ourselves as one entity. And so we prefer to date a third person who we're really hoping to find someone that could be a third equal partner.
Mhm.
Um, at what point did we decide to be polyamorous? And can you talk a little bit more? And maybe we should talk a little bit more about like why and how we got there.
I remember having a conversation fairly early on about like polyamory and like what we both believed
Yeah, we did.
and I described what my ideal situation would be, and you
Mm-hmm.
described yours. And then we decided that it wasn't for us at that time, but then when we
Mm-hmm.
were ready, we would revisit.
Yeah, we did. And it took us about 5 or 6 years into our relationship for us to be ready. Up until that point, we had discussed it thoroughly, probably once or twice a year before then. And we would tell each other, no, we're not ready, or yes, we're ready, or whatever the case may have been. But we definitely waited until we were both ready. And so I think right in 2018 is when we decided to go about having our first poly relationship. I'd say from our first relationship, we learned a good amount, about ourselves, about what we really wanted, about how to approach it, about how we wanted the other person to approach it. Because dating together is kind of
How would
complicated.
you say that first relationship was?
Ooh, it was a little rough. But I think it was rough not just because of like our emotions that we were going through, but because the person that we were dating maybe didn't provide accurate information, um, and there were holes in their story, and so it made it hard for us to trust them. And I think it kind of reflected in our dynamic. You know what I mean? It kind of made us hard to trust one another. A little bit.
I don't know. I never really felt like there was mistrust in that relationship.
No, maybe not mistrust, but I think it allowed questioning of intentions. Like, well, why did you say that? Well, why did you do that? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I can see that.
Mm-hmm.
Ultimately, that relationship failed pretty quickly.
Yeah,
Um,
it did.
and we didn't date again for
A
a
while.
while.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's maybe not true, but
Mm-hmm.
we had some interactions, but I wouldn't call them serious dating.
Yeah, I agree. I think our most serious poly relationship was in 2020 when we moved to the commune. And I think that relationship got to be as serious as it was because we were not only, dating the person, but we had a chance to live with them and spend like ample time with them.
The day that relationship didn't work out, ultimately because that person had very early on showed more interest in me than you, and you had signed off. You were like, "I'm done."
Yeah, yeah. And I'm trying to learn how to work around that and be more communicative. I am naturally a closed person, especially when you are in my space and I have to interact with you. I automatically just shut down from that interaction, you know what I mean? And so I'm still working on that, and but that habit definitely didn't help in that relationship, and I admit that, I
Yeah.
was really closed off. But it took us some time to heal from that, because you were really connected with this individual, and it took us a while, but eventually we moved on, and we did start dating other people, and they weren't serious
No,
relationships.
I don't think that we were ready to take a serious relationship. I honestly, at this point, I think that we're just now in a place where I feel like we could give to a serious relationship,
Hmm.
but now we don't have the time.
Yeah. So then that brings me to my next question. Where are we currently in our polyamory? Are we dating anyone, talking to anyone?
Single as a Pringle.
Oh, but there is that rumor going around the internet saying that we are dating two women, that you have three wives. So what's really going on with that?
Well, so we met these girls a
We
few months
did.
ago, and we hit it off right off the bat.
Mm-hmm.
And we've spent a lot of time now in like intimate, close situations. Slept in the same house, like ate from the same bowl.
But
Uh,
are we dating these women?
but no, we're
No.
not dating these women. I call them my wives. They call me daddy, and like they all like very much are wife like when we're together. We
Mm-hmm.
cuddle on the couch, we've kissed a little bit, then hold hands, rub some booties. But there's been no sexual
I love booty
escapades
rubbing.
in the bedroom with those individuals, and more so out of respect for all of us. Like I
Mm-hmm.
think that um, that relationship dynamic is really hard to have three women in the same relationship with one person and like sharing that time and getting used to sharing the
It's a
things that
lot.
you felt like were intimately yours your whole life.
Mm-hmm.
And so like no, we decided to kind of not pursue that as a relationship.
I think
uh,
we definitely value the friendship that we have with them, and
Absolutely. And maybe there's some booty smacking going on, and that's fun. We all enjoy it. And if it ever gets to a point where we don't anymore, we'll just kindly walk away from that.
yeah,
So,
yeah. So what, going into the future, like, are we looking to date anyone?
I mean, there's some people, there's a person or two, maybe really just one person that I've been maintaining contact with us
Yeah.
for this like short duration.
Hmm.
But ultimately, like we haven't been able to collide, and so we'll see what happens. But
Yeah.
I'm not looking.
Yeah. But right now, that's really the story of like our polyamory dating. We really are in Atlanta to focus on our creative content, on the music, and growing as content creators in general, whether that be, whatever medium of content that may be. And that does leave very little time between, educating kids and raising them and then focusing on the career. That does take quite a bit of time. And so I would say, like, we are not really looking to start anything up right now, just
No.
because right now time is of the essence, and we'll have some time later on in life.
What would it take for someone to be here right now?
They just would have to be here. You would literally probably have to move into this house. And the only reason I say that is just because we are coming and going so much. It really is hard to devote time to building a relationship. And I am not a texter. Like, I can't build a relationship through texting or
At
over the
one point in
phone.
time, I feel like you thought you were.
Yeah, I thought I was, but let me tell you, when it comes down to now is like I have my phone in my hand a lot for work
Mhm.
related reasons, and so it's really hard for me to desire to pick up the phone to do one more thing,
I
even
feel
if
the
that
same.
is texting someone.
I feel the same, but I do take the time to message one person.
Yeah, you do. You're about to name her.
No
Uh,
mystery.
so let's switch gears again. Going forward, we talked about some of the hardships that we face. What do you think are some of the hardships that we face going forward in our relationship?
Oh man, I think
Um,
coping with fame, the lack of like intimate privacy, um,
yeah.
sharing like every moment in depth with the world. I think that's going to be the biggest challenge we've ever faced.
Absolutely. Yeah. And the criticism and the judgment that comes from that, along
Yeah,
with, people sharing their opinions, whether they want it or not. Yeah, really a multitude of things. I definitely say that in this last year, we definitely have experienced a lot more of that fame side. And coming into it has not been as easy as I thought. And in
no.
fact, it's been a little scary. I think for the both of us on
Mhm.
a multitude of levels. And so when it comes to like living in that bus, I think we really are at that point right now where it would be too dangerous for us to live in the
Yeah,
bus.
I think that people really have this misconception as to why we moved out of the bus, but at the end of the day, it was really just becoming unsafe.
Hmm.
Too many people recognized the bus. We realized that I think when we pulled up to our friend's house, Tiffany and Christina's house,
Yeah.
and the neighbors knew who we were.
Yeah.
And then one of their friends that came by knew who we were, and then somebody that came to deliver food knew who we were.
Yeah.
And that was just like it was too many back to back within just
Hmm.
like 2 days. And we were just like, okay,
Hmm.
we need to get rid of the bus. We need to move
Hmm.
on.
It's easier for us to be in this space and environment right now. And
Yeah.
I think, on as far as like our relationship goes, I think that this house was like us, moving into traditional housing was necessary. Um, yeah.
To move past it.
Hmm.
You
I've said
know?
this before and I'll say it again. I'll go wherever you go, my love. But I did not want to come to a house, but I love you
She didn't want to come to a house until like she did.
until I did.
And
Yeah.
when she did,
I
then
was ready.
I had to make it happen.
Hmm.
So
I was ready.
yeah.
So what's next for us in our relationship? We're gonna do babies. We're gonna buy a house.
Yep. Nope.
What?
Gonna X both of those. No babies, no houses.
Not one more.
No, no,
Okay.
no. Unless we
Unless it's
magically
twins.
find that third, and she wants to bear some children
Oh,
and help
well.
raise them.
Okay. Yeah, because ain't nothing. Listen, I'm trying to get a flat stomach. So
You
listen,
can't
I'm
have a
done.
flat
I'm
stomach
done.
giving those babies.
I sure can't.
I don't plan to buy a house anytime soon. I plan to build one soon, though. I do plan on buying some land, building some communities the way that we always said we would. I think that, like, with fame and with a new career, more than ever, I feel compelled to stay mission based, like, towards sustainability, ending homelessness, like, feeding people that need to be fed,
Mhm.
housing people that need to be housed. Like, that is the mission.
Yeah.
And I hold tight.
Ultimately, I really love that we share this mission of creating this generational wealth, not just for our children, but for their friends and other people who are interested as well.
And changing what generational wealth looks like. More resource based, less like financially based.
Absolutely, yeah. If you guys enjoy this type of video, let us know down in the comments. Also, let us know what type of content you want to see in the future.
Yep. Also, you guys, we've got 2 hit songs on major platforms right now. Check out Spotify and Apple iTunes. Lame by Common Tribe and Let Me Be by Common Tribe. Look out for the album. It drops January 1st. It's called Common Tribe Mental Health Side A.
Yeah, and the visual album gonna be dope.
So you guys stay tuned. A lot of big things coming.
And I hope you're subscribed because the visual album is gonna be here on this channel, you guys.
Hit the button.
Yep. Anyway, love and light, and we'll catch you in the next video. Peace.
Set them on the table, 'cause I ain't never had an ace in my hand.